Oh, you gorgeous disaster. You clicked, didn't you? Couldn't help yourself. See, somebody out there has a secret nickname for you. And, I don't think you're gonna sleep right after this one, because this isn't some sappy pet name. This isn't Kitty or Boss, whispered over breakfast. This is something they murmur to their closest friend, behind closed doors, when the masks come off and the truth leaks out like gas through a cracked pipe. And once you hear what it means, once you really hear it, every single thing you thought you understood about this connection, gone, poof, up in smoke. You felt it, though, haven't you, precious? That weird atmospheric pressure drop when they walk into a room, something buzzing between you two that doesn't have a name yet, something that makes the hair stand up on your arms. And no, this isn't just butterflies or whatever the self-help crowd is selling this week. This runs in the marrow. There's this unshakable sense that they've cracked a code about you. A code you didn't even know existed, because they have. They've figured out something fundamental about what you mean in their life, and they've stamped it with a name. A private one. One they'd never ever say to your face. Until now, anyway. Let me paint you the Mona Lisa, because I need you to feel how alive this is. Think about the last time you were really in the same room with them. The way their gaze landed on you when they thought they were invisible. Maybe in a crowd, maybe alone. Doesn't matter. Something lit behind their eyes. Something that went beyond recognition, beyond remembering your name or your 9 to 5. This was the kind of knowing that doesn't fit into language. The kind that vibrates in a frequency most people can't even tune into. That flicker, that was the exact moment they knew. And they knew they couldn't say a single word about it. Not yet. Not to you. So what do you think they called you? What word could possibly hold the weight of a look like that? Here's where it gets delicious, my little live wire. They haven't just been mentioning you in passing. They've been unraveling you. Thread by glorious thread. With the one person they trust to see their guts. Their ride or die. And they're not talking about what you do for a living or what you wore last Tuesday. They're mapping the geography of how you make them feel. And that feeling has earned itself a name. A secret one. A private little grenade of meaning they toss back and forth when no one else is listening. But before I hand you the pin, you need to understand the context. Yeah? When they talk about you, there's this tremor in their voice. This tone of someone who's been stumbling through a pitch-black warehouse and just put their hand on something warm and solid and real. Something that finally stopped the stumbling. But it goes further than relief. There's this fever in it. You light something up in them that catches even them off guard. They don't just find you interesting cupcake. They find you absolutely consuming. And that obsession has dragged them, kicking and screaming, into rethinking everything. Their world, their assumptions, the flimsy scaffolding of beliefs they'd been propping up for years. You've become this wrecking ball that smashes through pretense and shows them the raw architecture underneath. Trouble is, wrecking balls don't care if you're ready for the renovation. So what are they actually saying out loud? Let's start with the obvious part, the appetizer before the feast. They're telling their friend you don't fit anywhere. They've got these tidy little filing cabinets for everyone they've ever known, and you. You jammed the whole system, broke the drawers clean off. Every time they try to file you away, you spill over the edges. That's exactly why the nickname exists. It's their desperate little attempt to bottle lightning. You're getting comfortable, and that's a mistake. Your past is a weapon, if you know how to swing it. My book, The Evolution of the Anomaly, is your training manual. Grab it from the description or pinned comment of this video. Let's get back to why you're really here. They're telling their friend you've kicked open a window in a room they forgot had walls. And through that window, pumpkin, the whole landscape changed. The mundane got vivid, the boring got electric. Regular Tuesdays started humming with this strange voltage. And they keep looking at you thinking, how are you even real? How does someone like you just exist? But I need you to white-knuckle the armrest here because the next bit cuts deeper. They've clocked your resilience. I'm talking about the real stuff. The stuff underneath the curated Instagram version of strong. They've seen the way you absorb hits that would flatten most people and still show up the next day with your hands open instead of balled into fists. They've watched you walk through wreckage and come out somehow more tender, more willing to care, when you've got every justification in the world to go cold. They talk about that, you know. To their friend, they say it like they're describing something that shouldn't exist in nature. And here's where it gets under my skin. In the best way, darling. They've been watching the war inside your head, the doubt, the spiral. That little voice doing its absolute best to convince you that you're not enough, that you're faking it, that the floor's about to drop. And what they've noticed, what absolutely wrecks them, is that you've figured out how to sit in the audience of your own chaos instead of getting dragged on stage. You watch the storm move through you like it's weather, and then you keep going. They find that devastating, not your perfection, your refusal to drown. That's a kind of power most people can't even name. Still wondering about the nickname? Patience, my sweet arsonist. I'm threading the fuse. They've started calling you something specific when they talk to their friend. The word shifts depending on the day, the mood, the depth of the conversation, but there's a molten core underneath all the variations. They see you as their compass, their gravitational center, the person who wandered into their orbit and quietly, without fireworks, showed them there was a different way to spin. You might not command the room, but your presence is the steadiest thing in it. And when they're near you, there's this safety they haven't tasted since before the world taught them to flinch, maybe ever. And that safety isn't about bubble wrap and soft landings. It's permission to stop performing, to droop the highlight reel. They don't have to audition for your approval. They can just be the unfiltered, messy, terrifying version of themselves, and you don't run. Do you have any idea how rare that is? It's so rare they almost can't process it. So they slap a name on it, a secret one. But oh, there's more, Buttercup. They're telling their friend you've detonated something ancient in them. And I don't mean that in some cheesy rom-com way. I mean you've reminded them of a frequency they'd stopped hearing. That they are more than this job, this body, this curated collection of anxieties scrolling through a feed. There's something underneath all that noise, something older and wilder, and you, just by breathing in the same room, dragged that forgotten signal back into range. When they look at you, they feel something that goes beyond this lifetime, like muscle memory from a dream they can't quite place. And that feeling, it terrifies them in the most addictive way. Now, I can't hand you the exact nickname because every connection's got its own fingerprint, but I can translate the meaning. They might call you their lighthouse, and they don't mean the postcard version. They mean you showed up when visibility was 0 and gave them something to steer toward. They might call you their gravity because you hold the spinning pieces of them in place when centrifugal force wants to scatter everything. They might call you the locksmith because you picked open something they'd welded shut years ago. The name is whatever word captures the rescue you performed without even clocking that you were doing it. They programmed your childhood software to believe that scarcity is a sign of spiritual purity, while they hoarded the infrastructure of the earth to keep you disarmed. That is the ultimate matrix simulation. Scarcity is not holy. It is a parasitic curse designed to keep the chosen soul locked in a permanent survival loop. You cannot fulfill your higher altitude purpose if your nervous system is constantly panicking over an immediate rent invoice. Wealth is not greed. It is the physical perimeter that guarantees your light can never be snuffed out by a lower vibrational entity. But we will address the mechanics of breaking the fiat curse next month. For today, focus on your internal frame. You seeing it now? I think you are, you beautiful wreck. The nickname is a fossil record of your impact, and the impact is bigger than your brain will let you believe. Here's what they're not saying directly, but what their friend picks up in the catch of their breath. They're petrified, not of you, of losing you, of the possibility that this whole thing is a hallucination that'll dissolve the second they reach for it. They've been burned. They've peeled themselves open before and had someone use the soft parts against them. So there's a piece of them that keeps one foot near the exit, madame testing every floorboard, making sure the ground is solid before they put their full weight down. That's exactly why the nickname lives in secret. It's a way to hold you close without the exposure of saying it to your face. And here's the part that's gonna hit different. Treasure. They've noticed you're hurt. The days when you're hauling invisible weight. The way the light dims behind your eyes when you think the room's not watching. And they want, with this aching, desperate gravity, to pull that pain right out of you. They want to be the bunker where you can strip off every layer of armor and just exhale. That's the depth we're swimming in here. This isn't surface-level thirst. This is someone who wants to be your shelter exactly the way you've been theirs. But here's where the voltage really spikes. The nickname isn't only about your role in their life. It's about your role in the whole damn circus. They see you as someone on a mission, someone who's here to rattle the cage, to tear the wallpaper off the walls, and show people the cracks they've been pretending aren't there. They see you as a genuine disruptor, someone who flat out refuses to accept the script everyone else is reading from. You ask the uncomfortable questions. You chase truth even when truth bites back. And they don't just admire that. They see it as essential, like the ecosystem would choke without people like you, pulling the weeds of comfortable lies. That's the nickname. It's a standing ovation for your ability to shake people awake. Your ability to point at the exit sign everyone else has been walking past for years. When they whisper that name to their friend, there's reverence in it. You have no idea how tall you stand in their estimation. But I need to peel back one more layer, and this is where I stop being gentle. There's been a fracture between you. A misunderstanding, maybe. A distance that tiptoed in and set up camp. And they've been processing that with their friend, too. Not to drag you, but to decode you. They've been defending you when you weren't in the room to defend yourself. Saying things like, "No, stop, you don't get it." That's not who they are. There's a reason. They've been standing guard over your reputation because they know the real you, even when the real you trips. That's loyalty that doesn't flinch, is what that is. And they're worried. Angel face. They see the weight on you, the pressure. They watch you juggling 100 flaming torches and still somehow catching the ones other people drop. They genuinely don't understand how you keep going. And it cracks something in their chest every time they see you struggle alone. They want to step in. They want to be the person who takes 3 torches off your hands and says, "Sit down, breathe, I've got these." That's what the nickname encodes, deep down. It means you don't have to perform invincibility with them. You can be exhausted. You can be lost. You can be every fragile, terrified, human thing you hide from the world, and they'll still be standing there when the dust settles. I need to pause. Let this land. Because I know what you're doing right now. You're scrolling through every face you know, trying to match this description to a name. And if your gut just clenched around someone unexpected, if a face surfaced that you weren't planning on, that's not random, Moonbeam. That's the nickname trying to find you. See, the secret nickname isn't just a word someone uses. It's a skeleton key. It fits a lock you've been ignoring. The one bolted across the part of you that believes you matter. That your presence leaves a dent in the lives around you. That you are not background noise. This nickname is living proof that someone out there has studied you with the kind of attention most people reserve for sunsets and miracles. And that kind of seeing, it could rewire how you walk through every room from this second forward. But here's the thing about skeleton keys, Sugarplum. They don't just open locks, they open obligations. Once you know how someone sees you, you can't unknow it. You can't pretend you don't leave craters. And that's the real gut punch of the nickname. It's not really about them at all. It's about you stepping into the version of yourself they've already been applauding from the shadows. The version that's braver, more electric, more fully awake than you ever gave yourself permission to be. Think about it. They didn't pick something forgettable. They picked something that encodes your steel, your strangeness, your power to rewire someone's entire operating system just by showing up. And that means you're already that person. You don't have to build them from scratch. You just have to stop pretending you're not. The nickname is an echo, bouncing off a truth you've been dodging. I can hear the gears grinding from here. You're thinking, this is too much. This can't be about me. You're cataloging your mistakes, your failures, the people you've disappointed, and you're trying to do the math on how anyone could possibly see you this way. But here's the thing about real recognition, Dove. It arrives with both eyes open. They know your fractures. They've seen where you crack and where the paint's peeling. They see all of it, and they're still using that name. Because the fractures were never the whole blueprint. They're just the texture that makes your resilience visible from further away. This isn't fantasy. This is the reality they've been marinating in. You're their first conscious thought when the alarm goes off. Their last thought before sleep drags them under. You're the frequency they tune to when the static of the world gets unbearable. And they've been telling their friend, I can't explain it. I can't make it logical. But something about this person feels like arriving somewhere I didn't know I was traveling to. That's about you. Arriving. That warmth sitting right in the center of your chest. That's the signal confirming it. And one more thing before I let you go. You magnificent contradiction. You've been writing yourself off, telling yourself you're ordinary, that if you vanished tomorrow, the world would barely blink. And here I am, grinning behind the grease paint, telling you that there is someone out there who wouldn't just notice your absence. They'd collapse. They'd lose the compass that showed them which way was real. They'd lose the only person who ever made them feel less alone on this ridiculous, spinning rock. That's the canyon between the story you tell yourself and the story they tell about you. That's why this is a shock. But the nickname, Beautiful Menace, the nickname is a gift. It's not just a confession of what they feel. It's an open door, an invitation to look at yourself and finally see what they see. An invitation to burn the script where you're small and forgettable and pick up the one where you're seismic. Because you are seismic. To them. To me. To every single person who ever felt steadier, sharper, more real, just because you happened to be in the room. I want you to picture it for a second. You've turned a corner and caught them mid-sentence, telling their friend that thing about you. The nickname. You hear the warmth. You hear the awe. And in that frozen moment, you understand. This isn't a crush. This isn't a passing fixation. This is someone who has woven part of their own survival into the fact that you exist. Now picture what happens next. The pause, the confession, and then, imagine stepping into the truth they've been keeping warm for you. That's your invitation, Starlight. You can keep living in the small version, the one where you're an extra in your own movie, blending into the scenery, forgetting your own lines. Or you can accept the nickname. You can wear the name they've been whispering and become the person it describes, not for their benefit, for yours, because they're not wrong. They are seeing something that is actually, verifiably, stubbornly there. And it's time you saw it too. What would shift if you believed every syllable they're saying about you? How would you carry yourself? How would you talk to yourself on the days when everything feels like it's caving in? You'd be kinder, wouldn't you? More careful with yourself. Because you'd finally understand that you're carrying something rare. Something that deserves protection, not punishment. And that's the second detonation hidden inside the nickname. It's about who you are to yourself. The potential you keep shoving into the basement. The strength you keep pretending is luck. The love you keep withholding from your own reflection. They see it. They see the version of you that exists when you stop white-knuckling the doubt and just trust yourself a little more. And that's why they cannot stop talking about you. So, here we are, gorgeous disaster. End of the unraveling. You came here expecting to be exposed, some hidden truth dragged into the spotlight against your will. But the exposure turned out softer than the setup, didn't it? It's not an indictment. It's a window, held open gently, asking you to finally look through it. They call you something that burns bright. Something that reminds them of what's possible when a person refuses to be ordinary. And that name is the truest thing about you.